everyone, I'm Nimesh of the Dave Dream Homes Group and Keller Williams Technology Ambassador at Keller Williams Houston Southwest. So today I'm going to share with you the process in starting a transaction from the beginning and going all the way through to the commissions tab. Alright, so let's get started. So as you can see on my screen, I'm at the home screen, the command home screen. And from the home screen, as any transaction, you need to start with contacts. Alright, so we'll go to contacts over here, and your database will load. From there on the top right hand corner, you're going to add a contact. And you're going to add your contacts in there. I'm going to go with John Doe. And he is married to Jane Doe. We're going to add her. Alright, so now husband and wife are going to be created. Their personal email is going to be jdoe at, let's just say, kw.com. Okay, and their primary phone number is going to be 281-555-1234. And then I am the owner. And then we are going to, since we're going to go directly into a opportunity to create an opportunity on this, we're going to check off add to sales pipeline because I'm creating the contact at the same time that I am starting an actual real estate transaction. If I was not starting a real estate transaction yet, I was just adding the person to my database, then I would not check this box. Okay? Now tags, you can tag them with, whichever tags apply for you. I'll stick buyer. Okay, and if it's somebody from your sphere, then you can add SOI, and you can create any kind of tag that you want from there. You can go to add more info, and then we can add the address in here if they have a primary address, and then let's move forward. You can put their birthday in here and their home anniversaries, okay, especially after you close. You can add more family members in here if you'd like under relationship, additional relationships, and their work information. Then we have the sales pipeline, where you got this lead from, and then custom, if there's any custom fields that you have created. Now remember, we definitely want to aim to get at least their name, their phone number, their email address, and their address. Okay, the four major aspects of a contact. And on top of that, I always recommend in getting birthdays and home anniversaries. That way you can add them to those smart plans. All right, so those 6 in my book are a necessity. Now we're going to create. Okay, and as soon as my contacts are created, I'm actually shifted automatically over to opportunities. That's because we checkboxed add to sales pipeline when we created the contact. Now if we created the contact earlier and then now we are starting a real estate transaction afterwards, then we would come over to the left-hand side over here, right? And then we would click on opportunities. That's how we reach our sales pipeline and all our transactions. The icon is the 2 shaking hands, okay? Once we click there, we would be on this dashboard, the sales pipeline dashboard. Now, when you have the sales pipeline dashboard, you see an overview here. We have the listing section, okay? And this is your listing sales pipeline, okay, all the way through, along with the potential GCI income on the right-hand side for your active transactions. Okay? Under that, we have the buyer's sales pipeline, and you can actually see how many transactions that you have in these different phases of a real estate transaction. Again, your GCI, potential GCI, if all these transactions that you have opportunities for closed, this is how much potential income you would make on the right-hand side. Okay? Under there, the same thing for leases. Now in leases, buyers and tenants are in one pipeline. Okay? But when you go into leases, they actually separate. You can actually, there's a drop down where they will separate from tenant and landlord. All right? And you will see your combined lease sales pipeline GCI potential over here on the right-hand side there. Okay? Underneath, there's some tracking measures. You can see what the ratio that you have currently as far as listings, buyers, and leases go. And you have a chart here indicating the trajectory of your business. All right, so you can see in an overview there on how your business is doing And then the last but not least here, you have closings this month. So it actually gives you the list of closings that you have this month. All right, and that's for this month only. When the calendar flips over to the following month, then you'll see the list for closings for the following month. All right, to create a new opportunity, you are going to go to the top right over here and click on Create Opportunity. That is creating a new real estate transaction, okay? And so when you click Create an Opportunity, you have to fill in all the information that applies. Your market center is already there. If you belong to a team, then you would drop down and pick the team. Otherwise, you leave that blank. Opportunity type, the next field is very important because if you accidentally select the wrong one here, or more importantly, skip over this because it defaults to listing, then there's no way to edit that after the fact. All right, so you would have to then archive the opportunity and then start all over again. All right, so let's try to make sure that we have this field corrected properly from the beginning. All right, so since I am doing a buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Doe are buyers, I'm going to select buyer as the opportunity type. The owner is myself, okay, and the client now, we have to select from a drop down. So you have to start typing in your client name. You cannot just add them here. All right, so I see John Doe here. I'm going to select John Doe. Okay, and I was able to select John Doe because they're already in my database. They must be in your contacts database for you to create an opportunity for them. All right, then when I go to co-buyer and I drop this down, because of their established relationship, Jane Doe, his wife, is already there. So I just have to select her. Okay, now opportunity name. By default, it makes it their name dash whichever opportunity type they are. In this case, John Doe dash buyer. If you would like to name this something else customized, then that's entirely up to you. If it's a listing and you want to make it the listing address, you're more than welcome to do that. All right. And as far as buyers go, however your method is in your business to name your transactions, that is exactly what you would put right here in this field. Okay. But for this exercise, I'm going to leave it John Doe buyer. Now, custom tags and opportunities, it works the same way as it does in contacts, except that you are setting up grouping for your opportunities. You know, you're more than welcome to do this as you see fit. I like to actually name it I like to tag it with the neighborhood that this prospective buyer is looking in. Okay, so in this tag we're going to say Riverstone. Now, I've already created one, so I'm going to say Riverstone and Sugarland. Okay, because they are looking in Riverstone. Now, the estimated close date. As a buyer, you may not have this yet until you're under contract, so you're going to leave this blank. Okay, and then when you have an established closing date, you can go in, re-edit, and go ahead and put it back in there. Okay, time frame. Let's see. So my representation agreement says 6 months. So I'm going to say the time frame is 6 months. Okay, in this purchase. Now, what is their budget? I'm going to say their budget is $700,000. All right. And what is your commission rate? What goes in this box right here? So I'm going to say 3%. If you're giving a discount, this is where you need to put it. Okay? If you're, giving anything up in your commission rate, all right, any kind of concession, this is where you would be. It would be. So if you have an agreement where you're only taking 2%, then you need to put 2% of the commission rate because this will directly correlate with the commissions tab. Okay? Now, after that, you have the opportunity phase and the opportunity stage. So which phase is it in? Is it when you're beginning this transaction? Is it still in cultivating? Are they still just the lead and you do not have a signed representation agreement with them yet? Or have you already scheduled an appointment to possibly get that representation agreement? Or are they already an active client, which means that you already have a representation agreement in place and you're already representing them and they're an active client? So in this case, I'm going to go active, okay, because we're going to go all the way through the commissions tab. And right now I am in showing them, okay? And let's go ahead and create this opportunity. All right, once we've created this opportunity, we are inside of that transaction. Now, this is where you're going to be working for every particular transaction. Every particular transaction is going to have this setup. And this is where you're going to be dealing with each transaction. So you have your different tabs going across the top here, okay? Now the first one is the details tab. Now everything that we just entered when we created the transaction is all set up here under general information. anytime you need to add more information or edit information, you can click on this pencil over here across from general information, okay, which is the edit button, all right, and it will open up this window that's very similar to when you created the opportunity, except that it has a little more information. These date boxes are added right here, okay? So we have estimated close date still, okay? We have appointment scheduled, which means the date in which you scheduled the appointment for, okay? The actual physical, the date that you had the physical conversation with that potential client on which day you were going to meet for the appointment, okay? Now, the actual appointment date goes in appointment date, all right? So let's say I spoke with this client today, which is March 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day. And the appointment date is for tomorrow, okay? So March 18th. Now, let's move forward and say I actually won the agreement and they signed a buyer's representation agreement with me right at that appointment. So then my agreement one is also on March 18th. All right. Now, these boxes are up above each other, which really helps because you can see the time frame in months, 6 months, and my agreement one, 3/18, can correlate with each other, meaning you can just come look here to see when your expiration date is on your representation agreement. Okay? So 6 months from 3/18, I can easily just come into opportunities here and see that. All right? Contract date is going to be the date that we executed the contract, okay, on the potential house that we're going to be buying. And the closed date is the actual closing date after the closing has occurred. Okay? Got the budget again there, and you have the commission rate there. And then you can actually choose to put the finance type of your client. All right? So we're going to go conventional here. And you're going to save this information. Now all that information I just added, updated right here in general information. Okay, under properties, you can actually put the address in which the property you're going to either list or you're going to offer on. So, or go under contract on. So if you have a listing opportunity, you can stick the address in there from the beginning because you already have the address. If it's on the buy side, you'd probably leave this blank until you've offered and probably until you've executed a contract to stick in the address here, okay? But once that takes place, you want to stick the address in here. All right. Under that, you have the Porch option if you've added Porch in settings, in your command settings. All right. And Porch is a recent partner with Keller Williams, and their services are pretty awesome. You can actually upload the inspection report. You can actually upload the inspection report to Porch, and they will go through the inspection report once they have received permission from your client to do so, and they will give you an estimated cost of the repairs on everything that's in that inspection report, and then your client can make a decision from there on what repairs they want to ask for, okay? And it will help you actually ask for the monetary amount if that's the route you wish to go to in that repair request. And then if your clients decide to utilize Porch's contractors, certified contractors to do the repairs, then Porch will give them a $100 gift certificate to utilize towards those repairs, okay, on behalf of yourself and Keller Williams. So it's a pretty cool perk there. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next tab, which is Buyer Profile. And this is a very new tab in Opportunities, and this actually relates to the new consumer app. If your clients have signed up for the new consumer app, it'll say so right here. It'll say registered with your consumer app for the, everybody that's involved in the transaction. And then under that, it will let you know which personalized guide you've assigned to them, okay, in the buyer or seller guide, which can be done in the consumer tab. All right, moving forward, we have documents. Now, we're not going to spend too much time in this video on documents because that's going to be an entire new video. Okay, but essentially the Documents tab is where you are going to upload all your executed documents, which you got signed in DocuSign, okay, or received by email as executed copies. You're going to come in here, okay, and find its corresponding slots, because these are not the actual documents themselves. They are actually placeholders for the documents, all right? So the first one is information about brokerage services, your IABS in the state of Texas. So you can actually come in here and click add a file on the right hand side, all right, and either manually upload an executed copy from your computer, okay, or you can go load it directly from your DocuSign room, okay. Now you can also come up here and attach multiple files at once. So if you've received multiple copies of executed documents, whether it's the IABS, the buyer's rep agreement, the general information of notice to a buyer, all those at one time, you can actually upload all those documents at once, and that way you don't have to do one at a time, okay? And you can do that either manually or through DocuSign. Again, we'll elaborate and go into details, way more details, when we cover documents on its own pretty soon here, okay? Once all those documents are loaded, you can actually click on Submit to MC. It'll turn green here, and you can click on Submit to MC, which then will go to your compliance manager, and you will see compliance status moving forward, okay, from there. Now we get to the nitty-gritty, the actual commissions. And in reality, commissions is a 2-tab process, okay? And it begins with the Offers tab. Any executed offer needs to be entered here in the Offers tab. And that way, then once you've completed that, then the Commissions tab, which is grayed out currently, will darken and you'll be able to utilize that. All right? And the whole point of utilizing the Offers tab is because this is where we're going to enter all the numeric information, the financial information on the transactions, which then will autofill the Commissions tab. So unlike green sheets, it will be pre-filled and you just have to revise it, go over it, make sure everything is correct, and then you'll be able to submit it. Okay? So to start with offers, you're going to click on the top right green button as usual and click on Add New Offer. Okay? Once you do that, you're going to actually name the offer. By default, it says Initial Offer. You're more than welcome to keep that, especially on the buy side. Or on the list side, just in case you were to receive multiple offers, you can name it with the buyer's name, for example, or however you see fit. Okay? So once we have a name, we're going to click Create Offer. And now we get into the offer details. Initial offer is still here. That's what I just left it by default. You can change the name here again. It gives you an opportunity to change the name once again. Now, offer date is pretty important, okay? It wasn't offered today. Let's say it was offered a week from today. And then the closing date on the actual offer, remember, we're getting this off of the contract submitted, okay, is April 17th. All right. Now we come down to the property address. You must put a property address in. Now, you can easily just come in here and start typing the address, and it's going to pop up. Okay, it's going to come down in a drop down and you can select it. Okay, but please do not do that. All right, it is going to help the MCA's office out tremendously if you come over to the Select from KWLS button over here on the right hand side. All right, so what that is actually doing is it's opening the Keller Williams listing services, okay, which is another way of pulling up MLS listings. Okay, and then you're going to come over here to show and click on all listings, because by default it only shows your listings. All right, so let's go to all listings, all right, which is actually going to show you all the MLS listings from coast to coast. Okay, so it's a huge database, so don't get freaked out when you see listings from other states. Okay, but you're just going to start typing in, okay, your address, okay, and then once you just put the number and the street name, it probably should be sufficient, and go ahead and hit search. And then you will find your listing. This is the one I'm looking for, okay? It's actually one of my listings. And then we're going to click Select. Now it's going to attach the listing address under Properties, just like you would have typed it in. But by doing it this way, it actually imports all the MLS information as well, all right? And which is really important, because when the MCA's office is creating your CDA, they don't have to individually go and get all the MLS information, which would take much longer to get your CDAs created. All right, so this will auto-transfer that information if you take the extra 10 to 15 seconds to attach the address by the MLS listing. Okay? So please do that. So next we move over to parties. Now, another perk in selecting it from KWLS is that some of the information actually transfers over from the MLS. All right. Now, the party that you represent is already going to be filled in there, okay? Because your client's information is already in there, and your representation information is also already in there. All right, you can put if they're pre-approved or pre-qualified, okay? We always want to try to get the pre-approval. Now, on the opposing party's side, you are going to need the opposing either seller or buyer's name, okay? So we're going to call this seller, let's see, Fred Flintstone. How's that? Okay? Now, because this is for your records, you actually do not need to have email address or phone number or any other pertinent information. Now, since we pulled this from the KWLS, the representation information is pulled also. Okay, so you have the name and the phone number of the agent representing that seller. All right, so next we move over to term. Now, here's the important financial information, and you're going to take it directly from the contract. All right. So first we have the sales price, and it starts out with the cash amount, okay, the down payment that's off of the contract. We're going to go with 20% of the asking price, okay? So we're going to say it is $140,000, okay? Which means that the financed amount in this case is going to be, let's see, what would that be? $559,000, okay? Which makes the asking price of $699,000. Okay. Now, as you can see here, I cannot automatically edit the sales price. Okay. The system wants to make sure that you stick in the cash price and the finance price as it is on the contract, and it will do the math for you. Okay. Just make sure that the sales number matches on the contract and over here. If you have a cash price offer, okay, then the total amount is going to go on the cash field, and finance will remain zero, and which your sales price will be correct. Okay, moving down to the earnest money amount. You can actually, to make it short, if it's a 1% earnest money, which it is a lot of the times, you can actually just come in here and put 1%, and it will automatically do the earnest money amount. But let's say the earnest money amount is different from 1%. Let's say they decided to round up in this case and make it a $7,000 earnest money, $7,000 flat. Where in this case, you can come to this field and go ahead and type it in. Okay, at which point then the percentage on the earnest money amount is a moot point. Next, we have the option period, and it's separated into two fields. First is the option fee. So in this case, we're going to say it's $250. Okay. And it is for the term is for 10 days. All right. So we have $250 for 10 days is the option period. Next, we have the seller contribution broken up into two fields. The first one is how much is the seller contributing to your residential service contract. Okay, the home warranty. So this is a luxury home, so we will say $750. All right. And then the next field is for how much will the seller contribute towards settlement costs. All right. What is seller contribution? In the state of Texas, it's paragraph 12 on the contract. In this case, we're going to say 0 because they didn't ask for anything. But if there's anything in that field, this is where you would put it. Okay. All right. So moving on to agent analysis. Now, agent analysis is purely for your use. Okay. What are some of the pros and cons of this contract and summary? And this would be a good field to utilize if you decide to share it with your client. Okay, you have the option of sharing it with your client if you'd like. Okay, so pros could be full price offer. Okay, cons could be they want you to pay for the title policy, which is generally a seller's cost, and they also are asking for $750 on home warranty, okay, which maybe that seller thinks it's a little high, okay. Now, under summary, you can kind of break up other pertinent information on the contract. Let's say, like, seller will pay for title policy, okay, and they are going to pay for the HOA transfer fee, okay, but buyer will pay for the survey, okay, and then we can come in here and we can save that. So if you decide to share this offer this way through command, these pros, cons, and summaries will be listed for them along with all the offer details. All right, so we're going to go ahead and save this offer. Now when you do that, you're going to see it lined up here, okay, in a line, and the status is still reviewing because we have not accepted or rejected this offer yet. All right, so you have all the pertinent information along here. Now you have to do this whether this is a buy or a sell, okay, whether this is a listing or the buyer's side. Now you see the 3 menu buttons on the right hand side. You click on that menu button and you have multiple options here. You have an add negotiations, you have edit offer, okay, so if you made a mistake somewhere and you need to edit it, or if there's a counter offer, you can just come in here and edit it, okay. There's add analysis, which was the page that we just did, so if you wanted to fix that, then you can just go directly to it from right here. Now we have send offer. This is where I'm talking about where if you decide to share this with your client, you can click on send offer and it'll share in this manner. That way they don't necessarily have to thumb through the entire 1 to 4 residential contract, family residential contract in the state of Texas, okay? Or if you need to delete this offer completely, click remove offer, okay? That's deleting it completely. All right. Now, please don't use remove offer if the seller, in this case, rejected this offer and your client decided not to counter offer, okay, or up their offer. Please click on the reject button. All right. That way we have that data in our system, because what's going to happen in the future is once our artificial intelligence system, Kelly, and the Keller Cloud obtain enough information per neighborhood, we will be able to generate information regarding neighborhood and see what numbers have been accepted and what numbers have been rejected in that neighborhood, and you will be able to utilize that when you're talking to your clients. If they're lowballing an offer completely, you can back that up by saying, hey, look, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I understand where you're coming from and how you're offering that, but everything in this neighborhood is showing that number is not going to work. Okay, it's just not going to work. I recommend you upping that offer just a little bit. And on the listing side, hopefully it can prevent your client from overinflating that sales price, okay, that listing price, because you can say that, hey, comps show, that all the offers that have been accepted and all the list prices in this neighborhood are showing that you're listing your property way too high. Okay, so it can go hand in hand with your CMA. All right. So now once we have our offer in place and your contract is executed, you can actually come in here and click accept offer. All right. And when you click accept offer, something went wrong here. All right, sorry about that. And we're all situated. As you can see, we clicked the accept button, and once we accepted this offer, the commissions tab over here actually came alive. So now once we click on the commissions tab, you're going to see all the details of your transaction over here. And as you can see, unlike the green sheet, everything is pre-filled for you. You're going to start out in the top right hand corner with the sales price, and then you're going to see your commission rate over here. All right, and then the commission breakdown, number of units. It's a single family detached, so it's 1 unit with the individual agent, in this case myself. And there's the contract date is here, which is required, and the closing date is here, which is required. All right, then we're going to come to the actual breakdown of the commission. Again, your name should be there and the total commission amount. Under that, you're going to see the royalty breakdown. If you have not capped, it'll take the 6% out. You can actually see the breakdown there. And it will actually show you how much you have towards your cap. If you have capped, this will say 100% over here, and there will be no split. Okay, this should say 0%, and it'll be 0 over here. Next comes the company commission, which is the market center amount. All right, this should be the 30% of your 70-30 split. All right, so you'll see that portion taken out. You'll see how much towards the cap you have accumulated. If you have 100% capped, then this will show 100%, and your split will be 0. Okay. Now under that, you have deductions. Now this is a bit of information that you guys need to know. E&O, here it says E&O with $25. Technically, this is the risk management amount, okay, because the E&O amount is $35. But since the commissions tab is the same for leases and for sales, they can only have one of the fees in here, okay, because E&O is not required on a lease. Okay, so we're going to actually manually enter it in here. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. Before that, though, we have our 3 donations options, just like we did in Green Sheets, which is KW Cares, KW Kids Can, and Bold Scholarship. Okay, so if you were to come over here and put a donation amount, it automatically updates here on the right-hand side, okay, to reflect that. There's no save button or anything. It auto-saves. All right, let me see if I can move my camera over here, my video, to this side. Now, under this amount, you're going to actually see the check amount, the breakdown, but before you move forward, there is a little link over here on the bottom left that says Add Item. Now, you may have to use this sometimes. All right, so when you click on Add Item, a window pops up. And then in your drop-down options, the first one you have is bonus. So if you have a BTSA, whether it's from a new build situation or the listing agent just happens to be offering a BTSA as an incentive to the buyer's agent, you're going to put what that amount is here. Okay, let's say $1,000. Okay, and then you have a toggle here for split with the market center. Now, whether you have capped or not is indication of whether you need to toggle this on or not. If you have capped, then you're just going to simply leave it off. If you have not capped, you are going to flip this on, because at that point everything is split with the market center and that portion goes towards your cap. Okay. After bonus, you have concession. Concession is specifically for if you are conceding a dollar amount, a physical dollar amount towards something of value at the closing table. Okay. For example, let's say you're giving $500 towards the home warranty or $1,000 towards the roof. This is where you would put that, okay? And then you have a few toggle options here. Is this a concession on the closing statement? You're going to say yes. Is it off the top? You want it to be. Otherwise, it's going to, 2 things. One, then you're going to actually have to pay the split on that. Okay, then your split's going to be before that, which is going to take out more money than you would if it's off the top. On top of that, it's going to be counted as income for you, so you are going to have to claim it on income tax. That's why you want to have it come off the top first. All right? And then also, a word of note, if you have a concession in place, you make sure that you get a concession letter from the MCA's office to coordinate with that and go ahead and give it to the title company. That way they can process it correctly. All right? Also, piece of note, this concession section is not for giving a concession on your commission. If you're giving a percentage towards your commission, then it needs to be stated in the commission portion. You need to put what percentage you're putting in the commission, okay, the reduced percentage. And then you would add that. Next, we have deductions. Now, deductions are going to be used if you want to go ahead and have some payouts on your closing statement. A big one right here would be if you're in the productivity coaching program, then you can put that here. That is, if you're a first-year productivity coaching agent, then that would be 10% of your total commission. So in this case, it's going to be $2,097, okay, which is 10% of the $20,970. All right, you can come down to description at that point. You can put productivity coaching, and you're going to pay it to your market center, and then you can put the market center address. Okay, 1650 Highway 6, Sugar Land, Texas is our market center, and then the phone number is 281-265-0000. Okay, and then you would add that. Another deduction, a common deduction, would be if you would like to pay your transactions coordinator out at the closing table if you have a transactions coordinator. So at that point, you would put whatever the transactions coordinator total is, okay, and then, you can put transactions coordinator here instead, okay, TC, let's just put TC, and then you're going to pay it to your TC's name, all right, and then you can keep the market center address as if your transactions coordinator is based out of your office, all right, or otherwise their address, and then you would go ahead and add that. So that would be deductions. All right, after deductions, we actually have our referral section. This is where you're going to utilize your referrals as well. All right, so first we have inside referrals. Inside referrals is pretty simple. It is any referral that you have received from inside of your own market center. Okay, so in this case, this would be Keller Williams Houston Southwest. All right, so if I received one It's whatever the amount is. All right. In this case, let's say it's 20%. So that would be about 4,000. Okay, 4,200. And then the agent's name, okay, is what you would put in here and simply add that. And they would get paid that amount. Now, if it's more common referrals as an outside referral, then you're going to go ahead and stick on outside referrals. And you're going to see some familiar fields here. All right, and outside referrals refers to any agent that belongs to any other market center, including any other Keller Williams market center or other brokerages around the country. All right, so you're going to fill this amount out, say 25% referral fee. It's going to do the math for you. At this point, I would actually request the W-9, the market center's W-9 from the referring agent. That way you can go ahead and put the tax ID information from that W-9, get the brokerage name, all right, you're going to have the agent's name, and then the brokerage's address from that W-9, okay, and then you can attach that W-9 along with it, and you would simply just add that, and it will calculate accordingly, okay, so that's the, so as you can see here, about 90% of the Commissions tab is already pre-filled for you, utilizing all the information that you provided earlier throughout the transaction. All right, so you simply need to come in here and just review, make sure everything looks correct. The additional 10% that information you may need to provide is in the add items, okay, depending on if you have any of these items to add. Okay, and then you can double check again in the summary to the right hand side. Everything is correct. How much is going towards the office, how much is coming to you. And then you can just click on add note, and then you can actually add a note for the MCA's office if you would like. All right, bold. Let's say there's a bold refund available, you can say that. If there's a note saying, hey, double check my cap situation, it looks different. Any kind of note that you need to put in there, you can put in there for your market center information. At that point, then you would just click submit. And the commissions tab will be sent off to your MCA's office for CDA creation. And it's as simple as that. Way more simple than a green sheet. As soon as your commissions CDA is created, you will get a notification at the top of command at the bell section up here, okay, that your CDA has been produced. You will also get a notification in Kelly if you have your notifications active. All right, so that is the entire process in the Commissions tab. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask underneath this post, and one of the tech team, including myself, will answer the question for you. At any given point, go back and rewatch this video and continue to practice this scenario, because the Commissions tab is now live, and we are requiring that all agents request CDAs now from the Commissions tab. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Everybody, get used to it, practice on it, and if you have any further questions, again, feel free to ask at the bottom of this video.